be hungry.
Thanks. Did you bring any chips?
I'm sorry this happened, but I tried to warn you.
I had to help Spyro rescue the eggs.
You just don't understand. If we don't bring dragons back to this world soon, all our magic will be lost.
The dragons used to live here?
Yes, this was their original home. But a long, long time ago, the sorceress banished them to the other side of the world. She didn't realize the dragons were the source of all our magic.
Maybe I could convince the dragons to come back, if you let me go.
I'm sorry. I can't.
Oh, hello. It's good to see you again, Spyro. That naughty sorceress has stolen the professor's rocket plans, and I'm on a secret mission to find them. Handel was supposed to meet me here, but I can't find him anywhere. Maybe you could help.
Oh, is that love I'm sensing brewing between Bianca and Hunter? Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, kind of a coincidence that that happens right after I do Charmed Ridge, the whole thing with the princess and the king. Yeah, it's almost like I intentionally did the levels in this order or something. Maybe. At any rate, though, welcome to Fireworks Factory. You probably got to hear a little bit of the music earlier because I was waiting for the dialogue to kick in from our returning character from Spyro 2, specifically from the level named Scorch. It's Greta, and Handel is here too, but he's in the sub-areas for Fireworks Factory. Yeah, this level has sub-areas. It seems like all of them do, so shouldn't come as a surprise, but in case it does, well, now you know. At any rate, we got Ninja Rhinox to deal with in Fireworks Factory, which is interesting. One of the more infamous enemies in Year of the Dragon, actually. In the original, for the title screen, there is a Ninja Rhinox that shows up. And the title screen of Year of the Dragon in PS1 takes place in Fireworks Factory. So this level must have been a favorite of Insomniac as well. So that's interesting, I would say. But yeah, Fireworks Factory, it's a great level, honestly. Also, we have these giant Rhinox that are wearing metal armor, but in order to defeat them, you need to, there's two ways to defeat them. You can find rockets laying around in the ground, grab them in your mouth, and shoot them at the Rhinox, or you can flame them from behind and make their barrel explode. The exploding from behind, though, can be rather inconsistent, because some of the giant Rhinox you run into might just keep turning around in place. I think they do that. If they spot you. So you know, if they don't spot you, then the mini rocket might be the best course of action. I mean, if they spot you, the mini rocket might be the best course of action. Otherwise, yeah, try to flame them from behind, because having to keep going back to get the mini rockets to destroy metal containers and giant Rhinox, it can be a little bit repetitive, I'm not gonna lie. Matter of fact, I don't remember where the first rocket is. I think it's here somewhere. And we get that. Oh, Ninja Rhino. Yeah, almost got me there. But not this time. Oh, got spotted by him. Let's see if he will not see anymore. Okay. Yeah, good thing the camera is so much better. So we can actually look in that direction type of thing. But yeah, at least if they're in a corridor, it might make more sense to get them from behind. Sort of like the giant Norks from Dark Hollow in Spyro 1. But if Charmed Ridge reminds you of Spyro 1, I'd say Fireworks Factory would remind you of Spyro 2. If nothing else because of Handel and Greta being back. Well, mostly Greta, but still. Where is the freaking mini rocket though? Because I want to destroy the metal container that's over there. But I'm not seeing where the... Oh, here it is. Man, hidden in the shadows again. Like frick, man. Alright. There we go. Ooh. And they have a nice little firework effect now in Reignited. It's a really nice touch, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it is fitting, so... Alright, we're gonna head back because I believe we're gonna see a cutscene from Greta, and it's a pretty cool cutscene. Pretty much all of the mini cutscenes involving Greta in Year of the Dragon are really great, so let's watch.
It looks like you'll have to use this cannon to get across here. Simply climb aboard. As for me, I just have to free my mind.
Yeah, she just does a really long jump, man. I don't know what to tell you. She has a little bit more animation in here than she did in the original. Obviously, I would hope so, you know? But, yeah. I also mentioned during my Spyro 2 Reignited Let's Play that I felt like the redesigns for Handel and Greta are for the better, because in the original, I know I and many others have said this a bunch of times, but they look like Muppets. Now they actually look like small human children, which is uncanny by Spyro standards, but makes a lot of sense in general context. You know what I mean? So I would say that it's an overall improvement. And now we have the mini rockets over there, so they're a little easier to spawn and take care of these giant Rhinos. And they do regenerate fairly quickly here. But yeah, there's going to be 2 of these big guys here on the bridge. That guy is basically at the end of it. So, bam! Did that hit him? Okay, good. I was a little worried there that maybe it didn't hit him. There's a sub-area over there, and I think there's going to be a sub-area over here to the left as well. I think we're going to finish the main objective and then come back for the sub-areas, though. It makes more sense to do it that way. We'll get the gems, though, just because I want to get the gems now. I don't know what else to tell you. Those ninja Rhinox that shoot a gun at you, seems like they rotate slower here in Reignited. I remember they were a lot more on point with the rotation in the original. Could just be my memory, though. Let's go ahead and get back and get another rocket to destroy that metal container again before I forget myself, because, well, we wouldn't want to have that now, would we? And we're going to destroy this metal container and jump back with Greta, because what's coming up is her best cutscene in Fireworks Factory.
It looks like the sorceress has already used the plans to build her own rocket. We have to destroy it. Just follow me. In the rocket. They must have been trying to put it into orbit.
So how about that cutscene, huh? That was pretty cool. But there was something showing off towards the end that kind of caught my eye.
You see, Handel, tell him I've gone back to Evening Lake to finish work on the professor's rocket.
And yeah, since this is the last level, we're going to be hopping on that rocket and heading straight to the next homeworld. But I do want to show this off. Dear Spyro, or whatever your name is, give it up. I've got the monkey, and I'm not giving it back. Love, the sorceress. Huh, wonder who the monkey is, because I don't know, I kind of like monkeys. Maybe we'll see him next time, huh? Next time on Let's Play Spyro Reignited Trilogy. We're not ending the part now, calm down. Good lord, I'm just messing, God. But we probably are going to run into him in the next episode. We're moving on to the next homeworld in the next episode. We're going to finish this episode with the boss of Evening Lake. Alright, we're going to come over here and do this sub-area first, since it's a little more convenient. Oh, hey, it's Handel.
I think I can see an egg behind you, but it's out of reach. You'll have to take the long way around through these Rhinox to get to it.
So this is basically an enemy gauntlet. And yeah, it's a little boring. I'm not gonna lie, this mission I mean, but well, if all it is a bunch of enemies you gotta defeat, get a bunch of gems, can't be that bad, right? I mean, it's not. It's a little bit of a boring sub-area, considering all the kinds of sub-areas we've experienced up until now, is all I'm trying to say. But maybe the simplicity is a breath of fresh air? I don't know. Could be. And yeah, some of these Ninja Rhinox will spawn gems and some of them won't. You're probably wondering what determines what in that regard. If a Ninja Rhinox is spawned from one of those Ninja Rhinox boxes, it won't spawn a gem because they're infinitely regenerating, right? But if they don't come from a regenerating box, then they will spawn a gem. More often than not, I find that the Ninja Rhinox drop red gems, so either that implies there's a lot of them, or they're just not worth that much. But yeah, those first two big Rhinox, I find they're a little easier to knock out with the flame from behind situation. Whereas the ones in hallways, I kind of think it's a 50-50 deal. Oh man, I don't even think that rocket hit him like on point, but still worked out nicely. Got some side areas over here, I believe, yep. Ninja Rhinox at 12 o'clock, and I think 3 o'clock, something like that. No, wait, it would be 9 o'clock and 6 o'clock, something like that. Man, thinking on the spot, something like that. You know, there were a lot of rockets around here. It's actually really convenient. I'm glad they did that. Ooh, whoa! Ooh, that guy showed up out of nowhere. I didn't even see him before. But we blew him up from behind. That seems counterproductive, but it worked out in the spur of the moment, at the very least. There you go. So yeah, we're gonna have to come back to Fireworks Factory when we get the monkey animal buddy from the next homeworld. And that backtracking is another one that I will show on screen because it introduces a completely different gameplay style. Not just for the animal buddy, but for the Spyro series in general. And it's actually technically a genre that I normally dislike. But that section, it's totally okay with me. Look forward to that, I want to say 2 episodes from now. We'll give that estimate. Alright, so thankfully the enemy gauntlet is relatively short and painless. Now all we have left is, actually I missed some gems over here. We're gonna get those before I forget myself. And they're not too far off, so I don't think it's worth jump cutting here. Do I have to mention if it's something worth jump cutting or not? And knock those out. And we're gonna knock out the second sub-area. The third sub-area is the one with the animal buddy, so we'll worry about that when the time comes. We're gonna go ahead and knock out sub-area 2 for Fireworks Factory. This one is a lot more annoying, though. And I think it actually got a little worse reignited, as in they got buffed. Maybe this is another one of those automatic challenge tuning translations that got a little bit botched, in that they picked the harder version for no real reason.
Uh-oh. You'll have to use this combo power-up to take out these fire dragons. It will allow you to super fly and super flame at the same time.
At least we get the return of the Superfly Super Flame power-up, so that's nice. And it doesn't seem to have a time limit, so that's even better. Wow, okay. But honestly, that's the least of your problems because you're going to need all the help you can get. So the goal of this sub-area is to defeat 2 flying dragons. And for some reason, they have like segmented bodies like a caterpillar or something like that. Or think of the Wiggler from the Mario series for a slightly better example. But basically, every time you shoot a Super Flame at one of the dragons, they'll lose a segment of their body. But here's the thing, they're flying around in the air really fast. You know, faster than you would think, anyway. And as a result, you're going to have to keep putting on the pressure. Because if you don't, their segments, their body segments, will eventually regenerate. It's rather annoying, I know. Believe me. It's really annoying having to redo this mission every time. I mean, conceptually, you think it would be a fun mission because you get to use the Super Flame, Superfly Super Flame combo power-up. There's no time limit. You can just do whatever you want. But yeah, the dragons kind of put a sour mood on all that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make sure I get all the gems. And after I get all the gems, I think I'm going to just, you know, jump cut a little bit to defeat the dragons. I think that's all the gems in this area. Hold up. Okay, there should be gems over here somewhere, or is it pointing back to the exit to the main area? I think that's what's going on here. Yeah, so you should have about 405 gems and 4 dragon eggs before leaving Fireworks Factory for the first time and dealing with the Animal Buddy area. So Gonna try and get these dragons, and I'm just gonna jump cut straight to the final blow. Alright, that's one down, thankfully. Finally!
I fished it out of the molten lava.
Good lord. You don't want to know how long that just took. Oh boy. Yeah, I remember these guys being fairly easy in the original version of Year of the Dragon, but here, nah, man. You really gotta mash that button, that fire button, all that stuff. I mean, yeah. Alright, so welcome back to the Evening Lake home. Unfortunately, you're not gonna get automatically warped to the rocket because, you know, all the level portals in Evening Lake are underwater, so you kind of just have to walk there yourself, right? Let's go ahead and hear from Bentley, our old friend Bentley.
Up aboard, Spyro, and boldly go where no dragon has gone before. Well, at least not in 1,000 years, at any rate.
And boldly go where no dragon has gone before. Let's also hear from Greta because, you know, she's just the coolest little girl ever.
The rocket is ready for launch, Spyro. Hop aboard whenever you want.
The rocket is ready for launch, Spyro. Ah, so adorable. I kind of want to talk to the penguin too, just because of how chill he is, but we got a schedule to keep up with, so let's go ahead and head on the rocket. My favorite method of transportation in Year of the Dragon, to be sure. And let's head to Midnight Mountain. Happen along the way, alright? But man, is this rocket not the coolest thing ever?
That's it! I've had enough! I'm going to create a monster to end all monsters! And I'm going to send it out to destroy all the dragons, even the little hatchlings. Yes, yes! It will smash them and crush them and grind them and tear them. Oh, yes! Smear them and smush them and crack them and crease them!
Let me out of here, you!
But, won't that kill them?
It doesn't matter, as long as I can still collect their wings!
What? All this time you've only wanted them for their wings?
Of course, you ignorant girl! I need them for a spell so I can live forever!
Wait a second. A spell?
What did you think I was going to do with all those dragons? Open a zoo?
Ooh, if I had my blaster, you'd be singing a different tune. You know what I mean?
You said just keeping them in our world was enough. You never said you had to kill them.
I don't have to kill them. It just stops them from wriggling so much.
You're terrible. I can't believe I ever listened to you.
Stupid, insolent brat. I'll take care of her as soon as I finish off that dragon. Now, where was I? Ah, yes.
Oh, this is gonna get real ugly.
And now, all of a sudden, the ugliness of the sorceress is revealed. Wait, wasn't that already known beforehand?
This might be our last stand, Spyro. The sorceress plans to use this monster to destroy every iota of her opposition, beginning with the two of us. Alas, there is no time for ruminating. A battle awaits us. I will endeavor to assist you by means of a steady provision of combustible projectiles.
By which Bentley, our friend, means that he will constantly spawn items for Spyro to use against the boss, Scorch. Don't get confused. There is a level in Spyro 2 that is called Scorch, but this boss is also named Scorch. I'm not sure why it happened like that, but it is what it is. Also, we got the crabs again, for some reason. Alright, so yeah, we got that rocket. That's not my favorite projectile here. Oh, this one. This is the one I like. It's just basically a bunch of fireball projectiles that you can spam, like nothing else. Keep an eye on the eggs that Scorch spawns, though, because at first they'll be crabs, but throughout the fight, what comes out of the egg will change a little bit. I believe those TNT rats from Icy Peak will start spawning at some point. And I believe after that, something like a sun seed starts spawning after that. It's weird. And you want to know what the weirdest thing is the final thing that Scorch can spawn from his eggs. Well, maybe it'll show off, maybe it won't. Anyway, though, you do use the projectiles on what spawns out of the eggs as well. It's not gonna hurt. He'll also spawn energy balls at some points that will, they'll do shockwaves. Think of the energy ball attacks from Gulp in Spyro 2. A lot like that. But, yeah, when he's running around, he's a little hard to take down with the projectiles, but his health is getting low. That's the sun thing I mentioned. If it touches you, it explodes. Kind of looks like the trolls from Cloud Temples, actually. Thankfully, you can use the projectiles. Your projectiles stack, too. So, that's pretty nice. But Scorch is down. If he's really low on health, sometimes Buzz will spawn out of his eggs, which I think is really interesting.
Hi, Bianca. Did you bring any more food? I'm starving.
There's no time for that, Hunter. We have to stop the sorceress. She's gonna kill all the dragon hatchlings.
Wait a minute. Why should I trust you? This could be another trap.
You're in a cage, you furry numbskull. How can I trap you? By letting you out.
I don't know. You sorceress types can be sneaky.
I never thought we were going to hurt the dragons. Come on, we don't have time for this.
Let's move ahead and hear from Bianca.
Spyro, I know you don't trust me, but I want to help you stop the sorceress. There's a way to open a hidden portal to her lair, but it'll take some very strong magic. If you can find more of the dragon eggs, I think my magic will be strong enough to open the portal. I'll come find you when you have enough eggs, okay?
So it is at this point that Bianca is officially no longer on the side of evil. Did she ever really strike you as the type of person that would be evil or a sidekick to an antagonist? Maybe at the very start of the game, but I would say as soon as the Midday Gardens arc of Year of the Dragon, it starts to become abundantly clear that Bianca, at least at her core, is not an evil person. The sorceress, on the other hand, oh yeah, she's a real piece of work. That much was established, maybe not at the first cutscene, because the first cutscene, she's just like, oh, she's just a sorceress. She's probably going to do some bad things, but, nothing explicitly implied until you start getting to Spike's, the Spike cutscene and all of that stuff, and, yeah. At any rate, though, welcome to Midnight Mountain. You know what? I would say that this is my favorite homeworld and also my favorite homeworld music track because it's so darn catchy, but I don't know, this playthrough, I kind of took a liking to Midday Gardens, and I remember how great that song is because every time I listen to Midday Gardens, I know in my head, Year of the Dragon has really started because Sunrise Spring, is honestly the leanest part of Year of the Dragon. By that I mean it's the shortest because all the levels are fairly short, by comparison. Oh, that is a wall you can charge. Okay. Now look at these lizards. They scream at you and Saliva comes out. Yeah, that's funny. They were a lot more chill in the original Year of the Dragon, I think. If you charge into them, they'd make a weird scream though, but it is what it is there. So, let's see. Oh yeah, for Midnight Mountain, you're probably wondering, how do you access the sorceress? Because, here's the level portal to Desert Ruins, by the way. Oh, and over here, past this bridge, is the level portal to Crystal Islands. We will not be doing those levels in this episode, and you will see why. So we're going to move over here, and I believe we should be getting some more dialogue from Bianca in 3, 2, 1.
You did it, Spyro. You found enough dragon eggs for me to unlock the portal. Once I've opened it, you can confront the sorceress whenever you're ready. But be careful. She'll be expecting you.
So all you need is 100 dragon eggs to access the boss fight with the sorceress. And if you've been following along, including the couple of eggs I've gotten thus far, you would be a little bit over that total. Even more so if you actually went back and did some more backtracking. At this point, I'm only caught up to the end of Midday Gardens, except for the Molten Crater backtracking, which I'm obviously saving for later because we wouldn't want Charmed Ridge to be the last time we see Sergeant Bird, right? So yeah, at this point, I can go ahead and fight the sorceress, but it wouldn't feel right. Here's the level portal to Dino Mines, which in the guidebook listing is technically the last regular level in Year of the Dragon. So, it's going to be the metropolis of Spyro Year of the Dragon, or the Twilight Harbor, as it were. And, if you compare Twilight Harbor to Dino Mines to Metropolis, they're all pretty distinct levels. The one thing that they all probably have in common is that they're all fairly difficult levels, though. So, needless to say, we're going to be doing Dino Mines last. And by last, I mean literally in the last episode. So, I'm going to go ahead and say this now. We are going to be taking on the Sorceress in this episode. We're going to be seeing the normal ending and all that stuff. But we got to do some prep work before that happens, because if you defeat the Sorceress right away, some cutscenes and dialogue will be no longer accessible, I should say. If you defeat the Sorceress, the next animal friends you need to rescue will be automatically rescued, which means you save the money that you would have had to give to Moneybags, yes, but you also don't get to see the cutscene that belongs to that animal friend. And I do want to show off that cutscene because I think it's one of the most hilarious cutscenes in the game. Here's the level portal to Harbor Speedway, the last speedway in the game. That is also probably going to be saved until the final actual episode. If you're watching this, you could consider this episode to be your final episode if you like. And if you do, I sincerely thank you for your time and attention. But we've still got a lot of game to cover. And, I mean, it's only a few episodes left. So, at any rate, this is the level portal to the final level, the secret level in Year of the Dragon. Also, kind of the finale of the trilogy in a lot of ways. You will need 149 dragon eggs and 15,000 gems. We won't be seeing that level portal open up for a minute, let me tell you. Alright, so, last but not least, we have the level portal for Haunted Tomb. And I do believe that is one level we will be showing off later on in this episode. We're going to be rescuing the animal friend shortly, once I've collected all of the gems and eggs that I can here. I think I'm going to have to backtrack to where the Sorceress Lair entrance is. Yeah, that's the boss name, it's the Sorceress's Lair. Interestingly enough, the only boss level in Year of the Dragon that you can access from a level portal. All of the other boss fights just happen on transit to the next homeworld. So it's kind of interesting how they decided to do that. Alright, so that should be the last dragon egg. If I'm not mistaken, the last few gems should be close to where our animal friend is. Thankfully, from the Desert Ruins area, I think we can glide over there. It looks a little risky though, and there are gems on the bridge, so we'll go ahead and take the long way around. Why not? This is over here. Yeah. Now, if there are still gems to collect, remember, click down on the left stick and activate your handy-dandy Spock's Treasure Finder. It works pretty well, honestly. I would approve it a 10 out of 10. Alright, though, that's going to complete Midnight Mountain, everybody, and I think that was one of the shorter homeworlds to do, actually, even in the Let's Play format. Without further ado, though, we have one last animal friend to rescue. And, oh man, he's a handful.
Well, well, Spyro. Look what I have here. It's a life-size Space Monkey action figure, complete with a fully operational laser. I'd love to let him out so you can play with him, but the sorceress seems to think he's a menace. Ha ha! You've always had a weakness for helping silly little creatures, haven't you, Spyro? Ah, well, I suppose there couldn't be any harm in letting him out. Could there?
Well, maybe.
Thanks, Spyro. Ooh, say, you ever see a bear dance?
No?
Well, it's your lucky day. Check this out. Quite the dancer, isn't he? Not much stamina, though. Too bad I had a lot more ammo left. Anyway, I heard all about how you've been fighting the sorceress and her armies and kicking all that butt, and I just wanted to say, huzzah! Yippee! Woohoo! Wish you could stay, but my homeworld's been overrun by Rhinox since I've been captured. If you happen to see the sorceress, tell her I'll be giving her dancing lessons real soon. Know what I mean? You bet. Later! What was that? Did you see a Rhinox? I thought I saw a Rhinox. Ooh, take it from me, Spyro. Never spend a week in a cage. Next thing you know, your whole island will be knee-deep in Rhinox. Well, gotta go. Mr. Laser Blaster and I have a whole lot of work to do.
Ah, Agent 9, my favorite pupil. Welcome back to my island laboratory. I'm afraid Rhinox have taken over the entire island. Could you stop them before they destroy all my research?
So welcome to Agent 9's lab proper. And oh boy, Agent 9's gameplay. Well, we actually have a good bit to talk about here. Some of the stuff is more relevant to the original incarnation of Agent 9 in the original Year of the Dragon. In the original, his gameplay was similar to Mega Man Legends, where your movement was kind of weird. Like, you could move around with the left stick and everything, but aiming around like what I'm doing here wasn't a thing. You had to go in first person to do aiming in the original. So for Reignited, they've updated the control scheme quite a bit. And I mean a lot. To where the aiming reticule is always on screen and you're always able to aim your laser with the right analog stick. Because as far as I know, none of the PS1 Spyro games had proper right analog stick support for some odd reason.
A vast number of Rhinox are waiting to ambush us as soon as I lower this force field. I expect they'll keep coming until you shoot the red panic button next to the door where they emerge.
And we also have the return of the Professor from Spyro 2, which is pretty nice to see. So, needless to say, this level will probably give you a good bit of Spyro 2 nostalgia, just, by proxy. But that's okay. Let's see. Did I destroy this computer? It doesn't look like I destroyed that. Anyway. There's also going to be balloons in the air, which you can now get without having to stand still and go into first person, which is, it's pretty nice. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, man, all of the control updates they did for Reignited, not just for Agent 9, but for other characters like Sergeant Bird and Bentley and Sheila, that's the real main reason why I think Reignited Year of the Dragon is just so definitive, really. Because it's just... Honestly, Agent 9 is one of those characters I was never super crazy about playing as in the original Year of the Dragon because his control scheme, due to the PS1 limitations and all that, was definitely a bit limiting in retrospect. Because, yeah, you could strafe like what I'm doing now by holding down L1 and R1, but it was really awkward in the original. That, and you didn't have the whole aiming thing like what I'm doing here, doing all that. No, in the original, you could only, just shoot forward and that's about it. But because of the fact you're always able to use the aiming reticle, and you can still go in first person, all that stuff. You can even do, sniper stuff. I forget how to do it, though. Well, I guess the tutorial will explain.
These indicators show that a bunch of Rhinox are hiding behind the display screen. I'll switch on the view pedestal, and you shoot them as they attack. I recommend using your sniper mode.
Ah, well, it just says enter sniper mode. Well, I guess you don't have to zoom in and out in Reignited, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, sometimes you will want to go into first person just because. But now that I think about it, I'm going to do this without the sniper mode, and Yeah, Agent Nine's gameplay is just holy cow. I can't really do justice to how much of an improvement it is without showing the original gameplay for comparison, but take my word for it. The gameplay for Agent 9 and Reignited is a massive improvement over the original. And, I mean, it's just a product of its time, really.
You cleared them out. Let's see what kind of shape the machine room is in. I have a feeling the Rhinox haven't been keeping it too clean.
But other than that, you know, Agent 9 always had the funky personality that I've always liked. That was something always true about the extra playable characters in Year of the Dragon. Even in the original, I always liked the personalities for the characters. Even Sergeant Bird, but, oh, and Sheila, too. But, it's just the gameplay for Sergeant Bird, Agent 9, and to a lesser extent, Bentley in the original, they just weren't as good as, well, maybe they were as good as they could have been given the limitations of the PS1 and the fact that Insomniac, for whatever reason, didn't want to use the right analog stick or anything like that. So, yeah, man, it resulted in, it's really hard to talk about the original gameplay and the new gameplay without it being like side by side or playing it for you guys, but just take my word for it. I think I'm going to try not to talk too much about that now.
Just as I thought, the machine room is overrun with birds. To target the birds in their nests, you'll want to use sniper mode, then zoom in for pinpoint accuracy.
But talking more about Agent 9's gameplay, I've always really liked his diverse moveset. Oh boy, that bird came pretty close. Okay, so it's L1 and R1 to zoom in and out. Good to know. This would have been good to know during the Rhinox sniping, but it's alright. These birds were original models in the original, but now they're just the Vulture models again, which, I mean, it's whatever. You know, birds are birds, so it is whatever. You don't really need to zoom in for the birds to get a hit in on them, but it makes aiming a lot easier and a lot more consistent, I guess you could say. Where is the last bird? Okay, well, let's get the gems around here, I guess, and then we'll worry about the sixth bird in a minute. If you get too close to where the bird is, it will attack you. Wherever. Oh, there it is. Whoa, 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 chill, chill.
Nice work, Agent 9. I'm not sure if this is a bird egg or dragon egg. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with dragon egg on this one, Professor. Yeah, definitely dragon.
Now I can switch the gravitonometric generator back on. I hope no birds got in here.
Oh, I hope no birds got in here. Of course birds got in there, eh? Except for some reason you don't get a dragon egg for round 2. So hop back in here immediately or the birds will frickin' swarm you, okay? Alright, so there's going to be some birds in the air this time, and when you defeat a bird in its nest, the flying birds will take over the spot where the old bird was. But if you're in the right spot, they seem to fly towards you after a point. So, I mean, they're essentially just flying into the slaughter at this point. But, yeah, you can just use the shoulder buttons, the front shoulder buttons, to zoom in and out, and makes taking these birds out fairly painless, truth be told. Oh, I remember now. Okay. Hold up. Alright, I think the laser was getting blocked there a little bit. Alright, will this work out? Yeah, that does work out. I love being a sniper, man, I'm telling you. Love being a sniper in the context of video games. Worth distinction.
The lab's clear, and it smells better in here already. Follow me outside, where I expect we'll find some Rhinox wearing armor. You'll need a more powerful weapon to defeat them.
Alright, so at this point, make sure you've cleared out all the gems in the bird nest area before we move on. Although we're still going to have to do a little bit of backtracking once we have access to bombs. Yes, Agent 9 has access to bombs in addition to his laser. which is rather interesting. But let's clear out this area a little bit more. Those Rhinox over there, you're going to need to use bombs on. Thankfully, unlike Sergeant Bird's more limited arsenal, what's the button for? Okay, it's square. Alright, I gotta hold down the button though. Alright. I think I need to step back a little bit more. Yeah, that might be the right call to make. There we go. Alright, yeah. You gotta use the bomb to get access behind the barrier. Over here is a hidden Dragon Egg mission where you gotta destroy 6 boats out on the ocean. You definitely want to use your sniper for this. Also, there's a skill point for destroying all of the pineapple-looking trees in the level. That's mostly where the backtracking comes in, but you also have to destroy that metal container we saw earlier in the level as well. Plenty of balloon bases in the air that you're going to have to shoot down as well. Alright, I think I'm going to want to shoot down the boats before I destroy that pineapple tree. It says 6 boats, but it looks like there's more than 6 out there. But it might just be some camera trickery or something like that. But it is possible to destroy some of these boats without resorting to the sniper mode. But, good lord, does it help. As we can see here, those Rhinox look like they're having a lot of fun, if nothing else. But a good thing about Agent 9's laser is that it recoils. So it's going to be really bouncy. Keep that in mind when we move on to Haunted Tomb after this level. And Agent 9's going to have a section in it because, you know, it's the end of the game and Agent 9, he needs to be spammed a little bit to have even close to the same equal representation as the other animal friends at this point in the adventure. We won't be seeing anyone but Agent 9 in this episode, though. I'm going to let you guys know that ahead of time. If you're not a fan of Agent 9, well, you're probably not going to like this part very much. But at least in the context of Reunited, I don't see why you wouldn't enjoy Agent 9's gameplay. I mean, it's good now. Not to say it was bad in the PS1 version, but now it's legitimately good and fun. And to think, all they really had to do was make it so you could aim and move at the same time, instead of being forced to have to go in first person to get, like, the vases and stuff. It really makes all the difference. Oh, I saw a red dot. Alright, so I'm going to jump cut back to the start of the level to show off the metal container and the other pineapple trees, okay? To be fair, though, it's not that much backtracking because Agent 9's lab, like the other Animal Friend levels, it's not very large. It is kind of weird, though, that they didn't bother to put, like, a shortcut between the entrance and the exit, though. That could have been nice. Hardly necessary, but still probably would have been nice. So we took care of that metal container. The beakers around here are the fodder. A weird choice of fodder, to be sure, but hey, gets the job done. And thankfully, the bombs have a pretty generous explosion radius. Alright, so that takes care of the skill point and the metal container. We're going to jump cut back to where the professor and the bomb generator is, okay? Alright, back here with the professor and the bomb generator, just chilling, you know, just chilling near a bomb generator, no big deal. Aim the bomb at that metal container. Thankfully, all of the gems will spawn below. And now we got a little bit of a problem, because one of the minor things I didn't like about Agent 9's gameplay in the original is that in order to throw bombs, you could throw bombs while moving, but it could be kind of finicky and usually left you vulnerable to, you know, your enemies, which is unfortunate. And it actually seems like to do a quick throw, it's a little bit slower in Reignited, so I guess that's the one trade-off for having better overall controls. It's still a good trade-off, to be fair. Is there a butterfly back here? Alright. And this part, okay, this you might want to stand still for, but this can still be pretty bad. So you gotta be in a position where the Rhinoc lasers don't hurt you. Easier said than done. And, will that... Oh, wait. I think that might have hit one of them. Alright, I don't think he's shooting me right now, so... Okay, wow, that worked out. But we didn't get the other guy. Now we got the other guy. Okay. Only got one bomb left. I need a restock terribly bad, let me tell you that. Alright, so... yeah, this is the hardest section in the level, I would argue, because it's very hard to get a bomb in on these guys without getting hit. But we did it!
Thank you very much for saving my laboratory. Now I can resume thinking.
My pencil! Had to throw that in there, especially since, technically I didn't do Mystic Martian, the main Let's Play of Spyro 2, but that's what bonus video's for. So, you know, come on, man. Every time you get an egg, you lose access to the bombs. I don't remember if that was the case in the original. Probably was, but, minor annoyance. Let's just go back and get even more bombs. You really don't have to refresh all that much, though, because you get 10 bombs at a time, which is a lot better than 4 at a time with Sergeant Bird and his bombs. His bombs that suspiciously look like rockets, but they function like bombs, so they're just called bombs. Alright, it's just the way it is. Alright, so we got all the gems and all of the eggs and the skill point. So we did pretty good. We're going to be moving on to Haunted Tomb next. I showed off the level portal already. So welcome to the Tomb of the Haunted. This level's interesting, so why don't we just hear it from the dog's mouth, alright?
Ah, yet another daredevil adventurer has come to rob our catacombs of loot. Let's just hope you're made of tougher stuff than the last guy. If you can survive the trials of our catacombs and answer my riddle, we will give you a prize befitting your efforts. Here is my riddle. I am a vessel without hinges, lock, or lid. Yet, within my walls, a golden treasure is hid. What am I?
The dead giveaway for that riddle is the golden treasure part, because that can be interpreted in a number of ways, actually. So, welcome to Haunted Tomb. Thinking about it, if it's not Dino Mines, I would say this is the hardest level in Midnight Mountain, for various reasons. So, you saw that sarcophagus earlier, right? With the mummy Rhinox spawning out of it? Yeah, here's the thing about that. You can't destroy the sarcophaguses unless you get one of these bombs from those bomb-throwing enemies, and then you throw the bomb at the sarcophagus, like so. It means that the level is going to have a lot of miniature back and forth, so if I do any mini jump cuts, you'll know why. But these guys, who I can only assume are like a zombie mummy of some sort, they'll throw bombs at you. I don't know exactly what kind of bombs these are, because quite frankly, they look weird. They kind of look like molten rocks, I guess. Unfortunately, the zombie mummies themselves are also only damageable by their own bombs, as it were. And as a result, yeah, they can be a little tough. So, yeah, I already got hit twice. We also have, jackals. I guess that's what they're called. They're called jackals. Freaking jackals, alright? It's a jackal. I don't remember where I heard that from. It's a freaking jackal, alright? But, yeah, they're basically, jackal statues brought to life because of Anubis. If you've ever seen the Pokemon Lucario, that's what Lucario is based on, those dogs. Yeah. Lucario is based on a dog. Maybe you didn't know that, but now you do. Yeah, this level can definitely be very tough. I hope I see some fodder over there, man, because I need it pretty bad. Yeah, and a bottle. Thank God, dude. I needed that bottle real bad. I really don't want to have any more on-screen deaths, if I can help it. That one in Tron Ridge was probably unavoidable because of the Rhinox spam, but no thanks. Another annoying thing about this level is the rocks falling from above, because for some reason, you don't really have iframes too much, in Reignited anyway, when dealing with them. Also, you do get a skill point for that, alright, but you don't get an extra life butterfly. So that's nice. But, you also have to keep pushing switches to open doors to progress through the level. That's kind of annoying, but honestly, a lot of the annoyance in this level comes from dealing with the zombie mummies and having to destroy the sarcophaguses so the mummy Rhinox won't keep respawning. making sure your health is in good shape. Easier said than done. Ooh, boy. Alright, give me another one. Serve up another fastball, but not a curveball, ideally. Dang, man, the mummy runoffs can get you too, if you're not careful. Yeah, overall, this is very tough. Oh, God, man. Alright, we got that jackal. Freaking jackal. Alright, we knocked out the jackal. Alright, did the mummy runoff go back in, or was that just me? Alright. Serve me up another hot rock, zombie mummy. It's just kind of tedious because, you know, you get one for every sarcophagus, and you gotta go back and get the rock and shoot it back at the actual zombie mummy. I mean, that's one reason why this level can drag a little bit. It's really not that long of a level, but having to do all that miniature back and forth and all that stuff, and God forbid that you forget to destroy a sarcophagus or something, and you may have to, like, redo the level. Okay, this section, though, is really bad here in Reignited, with all the falling rocks coming from above. You have to push that switch. Some of these gems, I don't think Sparks will grab. And I swear to God, the hit detection on the rocks is busted as hell. It's a case in point. I'm gonna die here. I'm gonna die here because of the hit detection of the rocks, okay? Good lord. 2 hours later, I went ahead and got all the gems off screen. What you need to do here, push the switch, make sure that door is open, and just blitz through here as fast as you can. Good lord, I got really lucky there. Oh my god. Thing is, that isn't even the last annoying thing in this level. There's still a good bit of annoyance we're going to have to be dealing with. So let's get the freaking jackals out of the way first. Get a zombie mummy, which, if you work with them, they aren't too bad, honestly. It's just the fact that you have to constantly keep getting their bombs and shooting bombs at other things. That's the problem. Not so much dealing with the zombie mummies themselves. They can actually be pretty tame if you know what you're doing. Oh boy. Should have aimed higher, apparently. Jesus. Alright, shoot. 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 Ah! God dang, man. Still didn't kill the guy. I was gonna say chill earlier, but these guys are definitely not chill. They are decidedly not chill. Okay. Okay, thank God for the fodder here, man. Yeah, okay, this has to be harder than Dino Mines. I mean, come on. I am struggling over here. Even more Reignited because of the situation with the falling rocks. I don't know what happened there with the collision detection when they translated to Reignited, but those falling rocks, I don't remember having an issue with them in the original at all. Just one of those weird things that happens when translating the original game to a more modern engine, I guess, you know. Plus, the game was rushed and all that stuff, but you probably have already heard me talk about all that stuff at length, so I'm not gonna rehash all that again. You know, we haven't come to the most annoying part of the level, though. We got more rocks, and don't get me wrong, the falling rocks are bad, but they're not as bad as something else coming up. So, okay, we got that guy. Make sure there's nothing else I need to worry about to destroy. Whatnot. Funny coincidence, though, is that this is an Egyptian-themed level, which, coincidentally, there were Egyptian-themed levels introduced in the third Crash game. So, I do wonder if Insomniac did this as a reference to Crash, maybe, but, you know, Crash didn't have all these, rock-throwing enemies, but it did have enemies that would, spawn from sarcophaguses, so that's pretty interesting. Alright, I believe it's just one sarcophagus and one zombie mummy over here, so things are a little bit more chill now compared to how they were a minute ago. Alright, knock that out. Let's go ahead and knock out this guy before we move on to that sub-area over there, which has a pretty annoying mission, and it's also one of those, we're going to give you a Dragon Egg for doing the mission the first time, and then we're going to give you another one for doing the same thing but slightly harder. And so far, I'm sure you've been observing the fact that I pretty much have been cutting all of those, so the pattern will continue. Alright, let's go into sub-area and see what's going on here.
The first round of the annual Demolition Hovercraft competition is about to begin. There is room for one more contestant, but you'll have to answer a riddle to qualify. The riddle is this. If one dragon can lay one egg in 12 years, how long would it take for 100 dragons to lay 100 eggs?
This is actually a pretty solid riddle. So, if one dragon can lay one egg in 12 years, how long would it take for 100 dragons to lay 100 eggs? So the answer is actually 12 years.
Very impressive. That is correct. Good luck in the demolition hovercraft competition.
So you're probably wondering why that is. See, it's one dragon laying one egg. So if it was two dragons, they would lay two eggs in the same time frame. The logic should naturally follow from there. By the way, before I do this, well actually I guess while I'm doing it, because I'm at least going to show off this first round, you basically, it's like a mobile cannon, like, you know, the cannons from Lost Fleet and Icy Peak. Yeah, Icy Peak. So, Icy Peak and Lost Fleet. This is kind of like that, but you get to move around. So, if you do the circle button equivalent, you'll shoot straight, and if you do the square button equivalent, you will do a lob shot. And you can also strafe with L1 and R1, or whatever the equivalent is. On Switch, it would just be the regular L and R. So, there you go. There's another riddle that I've heard that I think is really interesting. Let me see if I can remember it. Something like, what is heavier, a kilogram of feathers or a kilogram of iron? That's a pretty good riddle of some sort, because it's kind of in the same logic as that riddle we got earlier. A kilogram is a kilogram, okay? Keep that in mind in case I do a future Let's Play that might actually bring that up. I'm not going to say exactly what, but keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, a kilogram is a kilogram, so a kilogram of feathers is going to be the same as a kilogram of iron, obviously.
Well, that was a fierce battle indeed. Please accept this prize for winning the first round.
MJ, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy was named after Michael Jackson.
You may now enter the championship round. However, this is an exceedingly dangerous sport. Might I suggest you quit while you're still in one piece? My, such a brave reptile you are. But you'll need much more than bravery to win the championship.
Alright, so the second round, I think there's like 10 of these guys you gotta track down. Some of them are going to be on the outer edges, so you'll have to do a bit more exploring than in the first round. This is a rather difficult round though, so it's going to require some concentration on my end. And if you lose in the second round, I think you have to redo the first round. I could be mistaken, but do your best, and I'm just going to jump cut past this, and I will see you when I get the next dragon egg, alright?
That was indeed a battle for the ages. You're the first dragon to win the competition in over 1,000 years. I proudly present you this year's grand prize.
Alright, now we have TJ. Maybe MJ wasn't a reference to Michael Jackson after all. Maybe they just wanted to do the whole acronym thing for these two baby dragons for whatever reason. Alright, so back on the main path of Haunted Tomb, there's actually honestly not much left to do in the main area. There's something called a slide, but we also have an Agent 9 section. We have the end of the main objective, and we have Agent 9. I think it's fitting if we just go ahead and do Agent 9 section now, and then we're going to do the annoying section after that, and we'll do the main objective last, okay?
One of those dogs with a funny hat put a curse on me just because I shot him in the butt a couple times. He said he turned my tail into a snake. Does it look like a snake to you? It does feel kind of funny, come to think of it. Oh, boy, that dog's gonna bang.
Behind this door lie the 5 deadly trials of King Rover. No one has ever survived all 5. In fact, it is so dangerous that I cannot let you through this first door unless you're able to solve my riddle. Here's the riddle. I follow you wherever you go. But the more of me you take, the more you leave behind.
So, it follows you, so you might think it's a shadow. And honestly, time could probably apply here, but the best answer for this riddle is probably the one you suspect the least.
My, you're quite clever for someone with so little fashion sense.
You may proceed to the first trial.
Alright, so for Agent 9 section in Haunted Tomb, it's basically a top-down shooting gauntlet of sorts. You gotta destroy a bunch of enemies in close quarters, so that means that you get to really see the full potential of Agent 9's laser ricocheting. That's a more appropriate thing to say. Yeah, it bounces a lot, but ricocheting is a much more proper term for it. Thankfully, you get a better control of the camera angle for the reignited version of this mission rather than the original where it was forced to be top-down. In here, you can just make the camera top-down if you want to, or you can opt for the regular camera angle. I find that both work pretty fine, but top-down is how this was originally designed, so give that a try and see if that might work out better for you. It could. Maybe it won't, but maybe it could. You won't know until you try. But you're probably wondering, well, what about Agent 9's bombs? How are they going to implement that in here? You're going to see that in the next section, I believe. I believe this is the second last one. For some reason, Agent 9's lasers destroy the sarcophaguses just fine, even though Spyro had to use a bomb, from the zombie mummies that we dealt with. But no, Agent 9's laser is just that OP, apparently, that you can just kill all the enemies. Seemed like the enemy count was off there, or is that just me? And apparently, you can't destroy any enemies from a distance until you actually go in the area. So that's cool. Alright, so you can actually grab the zombie mummy's bombs with Agent 9 and toss them right back at him. But what I recommend you do for this final section, there's a reason they give you a lot of fodder here, but what I recommend you do is make sure you defeat all of the regular enemies first and save the zombie mummies for last. It's just going to be a lot less of a headache on you if you do it like this. And yeah, you really got to wait for the bombs to chill out before you can grab them. But bam! That one was right on his head. Oh, wasn't there 3 of these guys? I think one of them accidentally got destroyed by another bomb by proximity. Which is really cool. In the original, I don't remember if the zombie mummy's bombs, I think they changed colors subtly and when they're about to explode, but they definitely improved that in Reignited to where it's a lot easier to tell when the bomb can be grabbed or when it can't be grabbed. So, all in all, yeah, I'd say Reignited did this mission a lot of justice, a lot of favors, honestly. Not that it was ever terribly annoying or hard to deal with in the first place, but it's definitely better. Alright, so now we got... We've got a slide. The difficult thing about the slide is, well, you have to get gems, the controls are slippery. I want to say they're slightly better reignited, but this is still a pain. So, I'm just going to be silent for the sake of concentration. Alright? Didn't think that I could just glide down to the egg and the gems that way, huh? I'm pretty sure you couldn't do that in the original. By the way, before we finish this level, here's a little bit of music trivia. In the Black Label release of Year of the Dragon, the music that played in Haunted Tomb was a rehash of the Cloud Spire's music. Yeah. I think the original music for Haunted Tomb is a better fitting choice, honestly.
I see you've managed to survive the trials of the catacombs. Now let's find out if your wits are as quick as your feet. Do you remember the riddle? I am a vessel without hinges, lock or lid. Yet within my walls, a golden treasure is hid. What am I?
You know, I feel like a heart would be a good answer for this, but considering this is Spyro Year of the Dragon, there's really only one answer that makes sense. Also, putting treasure chests in here kind of defeats the purpose because that is a vessel that has some sort of hinge or lock or what have you. They threw in a Bandicoot because, you know, Crash Bandicoot, because those games were developed side by side, and a bone because he's a dog. Get it?
Have you heard that one before? I never thought you'd get it. Very well, a bargain is a bargain. You may have the dragon egg that I was guarding from the sorceress.
Guarding from the sorceress. Speaking of which, that's where we're going to be heading next, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to defeat the sorceress once and for all. And he's also going to go to Seashell Shore and dig up some bones. Eventually. Yeah, that's just a pretty common glitch here in Haunted Tomb. Honestly, having gone through this level again here in Reignited, it does seem like this is one of the levels that suffered the most from the rushed deadline of the original release of Reignited Trilogy. Granted, this level still wasn't really painless in the original Year of the Dragon, to be sure. But overall, it seems like the falling rocks, the collision detection they kind of messed up, the zombie mummy thing is honestly just as annoying as it was in the original. But I honestly think that the cannon shooting thing, the 2 rounds of the cannon shooting, I think that got nerfed, actually. You didn't get to see me do the second round, but I did it first try, which I normally don't do. Usually it takes me like 2 or 3 tries, but alright, without further ado, we're going to head back to Midnight Mountain, and we're just going to skip straight to the Sorceress, because I got to do something in between this level and the next, and, you know, you don't want to watch me stand there for like 5 minutes, alright? So, see ya right back in the Sorceress's lair, where we're going to finally kick some butt.